Good afternoon. Did you guys have a good start to the day, and now getting ready for the welcome reception? And just a few more sessions to go. I am so pleased to introduce our platinum sponsors, Microserve, and Cornelius will be taken away from here. And I think this is going to be an exciting conversation today. I guess I will let you do the introductions as well once you log in. Do you remember your password, Cornelius?
I do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
No,
12.
I am good.
You're good? You're in. I'll buy you some time, eh? There you go. Off you go. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sandy.
No problem. Big round of applause.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cornelius Temple. It is my privilege and pleasure to be with you today. I'm with two gentlemen, one from BCIT, Sonny Jassal, the CISO at BCIT, doing some wonderful work there. And also our partner, SentinelOne, Elie Nasrallah, is joining us today. SentinelOne is a partner of Microserve in the wonderful world of helping organizations within the BCNET family solve cybersecurity problems. And of course, the conversation today is going to center around three elements that we believe are near and dear to your hearts. There will be a conversation through some questions, some back and forth that we're going to go through for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to try to save 5 minutes or so for questions from you folks. So hopefully there will be some great questions there and some interactions. So that we can continue to get extreme value out of the session that we are about to embark on. So the conversation today is around detection to response, winning the cybersecurity battle, and we're going to focus that conversation specifically within higher education. So we're going to touch on things around AI, which I think is prevalent at this conference, and how AI is providing some value back to the organizations and solving some of those problems and challenges, certainly in the area of capacity, when you're looking at how to leverage tools to actually do more tasks for you versus the cost of hiring a bunch of people to try to do that work. We're going to talk a little bit about the discussion that's happening in the boardroom and how to help drive that conversation around cybersecurity in the boardroom. And we're going to touch a little bit on how all of that comes together to provide the right value for you as an organization. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to allow my two esteemed colleagues to introduce themselves. Sonny, a few words.
Thank you, Cornelius. Sonny Jassal, CISO with BCIT, year number 6, and so far counting. A little bit more about myself. Come from the world of healthcare, where I spent a little over 12 years doing all sorts of technical and leadership roles, and can't be more excited to share what we're doing with SentinelOne, trying to win this cybersecurity battle. But more importantly, the minute I was walking on stage here, shared with Elie that 10 years ago when I transitioned from the world of IT, I do call it transitioning from IT to cybersecurity. That was at the onset of a thought in my mind, because there was so much reading around the unfilled cybersecurity jobs. So 10 years ago, time machine, it was the numbers that I was looking at that time was about 3.5 million unfilled jobs globally, okay? Fast forward, I don't think I've seen the number lately, to be honest to you all, but I don't think it's gone down, it's only gone up, okay? So we're gonna need to address this outside of human scalability. And with that, I'm gonna pass it over to Elie, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how do you really win this. It's not human scalability, it's really the next gen vendor, partnership, support, community, collaboration. And with that, Elie, over to you.
Thanks, Sonny. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elie Nasrallah, Solution Engineer with SentinelOne. I've been doing this security thing for 30 years now. I've been in IT for 35 years and started back, in the 90s. Things have really accelerated with AI. Back then, back in the 90s, I was managing this Milky Way firewall and scrambling without any security experience to re-image my NT machines from these virus attacks that were happening every second. And unfortunately, I was a one-man show with no security experience. And now you've got so much happening. And just in the last 4 years since I joined SentinelOne, everything is accelerated, but it has to be, right, to keep up with the new threat landscape and the rapid fire of ransomware attacks that are happening everywhere. So I've been with SentinelOne for 4 years now, and it's been a great ride. So I'm looking forward to speaking with everyone today.
Sonny, thank you. Elie, thank you. And with that, we're going to get into a couple questions to really draw out some of the conversation around the topic items that we want to discuss. Elie, maybe I'll start with you. So one of the questions that we had and sort of preparing for this discussion was to talk a little bit about SentinelOne and how you're helping to address the cybersecurity challenges posed by the open and collaborative nature of higher education.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the nice thing about SentinelOne is we were born on AI. The platform was built with AI as the underlying layer, leveraging static and behavioral AI and machine learning to quickly detect these unknown threats that are bypassing all your perimeter defenses and the stealthy threats that are getting in the 0 days. And that static AI, behavioral AI, is also part of our automated threat detection response to automate the response of these threats automatically and instantly, rolling back all the threat changes that happen in a given second by these ransomware attacks. And some of these ransomware threats launch thousands of events at once, unfortunately taking control of systems, encrypting files and folders, and spreading laterally to infect many other machines in your environment. We roll back all those threat changes in seconds, addressing the major concern with mean time to detect and respond, lowering that drastically because we're automating it in a seamless way and with an easy-to-use platform.
Thank you for that, Elie. Sonny, did you want to add anything to that particular question before we move on?
Yeah, not really to repeat what Elie shared here. I think one thing I'll highlight about higher education is we're not only talking about a layer of everyone's doing the same thing. Like, it's not just staff. We're talking about, three diverse, I call it 4 diverse communities: students, researchers, faculty, and staff. These 4 personas require different policy sets. You need to learn about them. Yes, the AI and the behavioral intelligence knows about the deviation of an individual because it learns it over time. But we need to tell, and as security analysts, we need to create these profiles per personas so that you can actually secure your environment, because researchers are going to do the things they need to be enabled to do. Students need to be encouraged to do the experimentation, as well as enable them to be creative enough so that they can actually learn and grow from it. Bringing back this conversation, I think what I really want to share is the personas and being able to do that with policy configurations using something like SentinelOne at BCIT. We've been able to know and learn more about our community. That's one. And how do we support them with what they're doing every day to not only grow themselves, if it's students, faculty, enable students, and that's a big piece of how higher education is different than deploying 9,000 endpoints at a business where everybody is staff.
Oh, thank you for that, Sonny. That's insightful. Just to continue on, Sonny, you have talked, and we've had some discussions around the role of digital forensics in incident response, and I wanted to ask a question around that. Can you elaborate on the role of digital forensics in your cyber incident response strategy and how it helps in preserving evidence and supporting legal compliance?
Yeah, great question, Eli. I think I'll back up a little bit and talk about securing endpoints end-to-end. So when I say end-to-end, you really enable the securing the endpoint with an EDR solution, which is SentinelOne. Then thinking this through in a public sector, higher education environment, how do you do this 24/7, okay? We all have limitations in the human scalability, and we've got some higher education environments are going to, majority of them are going to be collective agreement. People are going to be based on collective agreement. So nobody's working after 5 or 6 o'clock, okay? So you have to ask yourself the question, what are you really trying to achieve here? Do you want to accomplish an end-to-end security solution? And if you're going to do that, you're probably going to need some sort of monitoring on top of it. So at BCIT, we started with the first phase of deploying about 9,000 endpoints. And then we started looking at it, okay, we've got a problem. We've got a good solution, but we don't know how to run it and how to manage it. And that kind of took us into the next step of managed endpoint. So we have someone managing our 9,000 endpoints. And these are real people, humans. They're all, they kind of take, maybe Eli can spend some time on, they're working globally through someone's in Israel and someone's in, East Coast. So they take turns. So someone's monitoring your 9,000 endpoints. And I'll take it one step further. What happens when something is detected? Well, it's up to you how do you want that response to be. So your incident response becomes your critical component of how do you respond to an event. So you need to, each one of, whoever's managing cybersecurity needs an incident response plan. That's the first, that goes without, like table stake stuff. You need to do that. Doesn't matter what it looks like, you need to do it, practice it, tabletop it. And believe me, the more you tabletop it, the more you will learn. Bring others along, especially your executives, because they need to be part of the solution as well. And to answer your question with digital forensics, we have a digital forensics incident response retainer through SentinelOne. And speaking of public sector again, it's a bit of there are some pain points where I'm not able to retain or even able to afford hiring a digital forensics analyst. It's real, so I can't do it. Okay, so what do I do? Well, you should think of something like a retainer where you should be able to call someone within minutes. So that's where DFIR for us comes in end-to-end, where SentinelOne, we have an escalation procedure. If something is spotted that meets our critical threshold within about 10 minutes, and I do mean it, within 10 minutes, if we spot anything that's lateral movement, that's got a flavor of ransomware, anything that meets that criteria, believe me, either my phone's gonna ring or somebody who's on call on my team will get a call, and it doesn't matter what time of the day it is. But that call is not to say you've got a problem. The call is to say we have contained it, now we want you to investigate it, and we will jump on a call with you to walk you through the containment of it, because you really need to contain that evidence. End of the day, you could be dealing with something that's going to require the involvement of legal, could be, you could receive a call from the cyber center, could be a nation state attack. So you really need to start thinking about how are you going to preserve that evidence, right? End of the day, it's about preserving evidence. So you need to be able to lean on the DFIR, which is the digital forensics incident response retainer, or the skilled capability of these folks to be able to hold you through this managing that incident if it's going to lead into digital forensics. And I will speak on behalf of BCIT. We will not be able to afford or retain digital forensics analysts on staff. It's a reality, and it's just a bit unfortunate. And we're bound by, what public sector pays. These are the pain points, but that's okay. You know what? You need to think outside the box and enable that with a DFIR contract.
No, thank you for that, Sonny. And I know I've heard you talk about this before, how capacity, being able to find the right people with the right backgrounds, with the right experience to do some of this work, and the tremendous cost it demands in terms of getting those people on board and retaining those people. So I think that's an excellent point, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in our closing. So very much appreciate those comments. Elie, one of the things that, I've done a couple of these with you now, and AI just continues to be the focal point of a lot of conversations around what is out there that's able to support bridging some of these gaps, especially on the capacity side as well. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, how does SentinelOne's AI-driven approach enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of incident response?
Yeah, just continuing too off what Sonny mentioned is automation. Being able to automate, for starters, the collection of forensics, to allow organizations to gain visibility of what's happening across the entire enterprise instantly in seconds. You have a play-by-play, parsing and automatically collecting all these forensics from machines the second an incident happens or a threat comes in or ransomware pokes its head into your enterprise. We collect things like memory dumps, registry artifacts, logs directly from these systems to give you the visibility, but also to house these in your AI SIM that we've basically built in and offered to organizations. So it addresses the larger organizations, which, by the way, we're securing the largest higher ed institutes across Canada, and allowing them to do a lot more with less. This one single cloud-native console gives you the ability to automate across the board, but also gain visibility of what's going on across these disparate systems that organizations have invested in, like the firewalls, identity, and what have you. Gaining the visibility across what's going on with all these disparate systems with a unified console. The automation plays a big part because it's really set and forget for the most part. So when you think about it, you might not have to hire a full-time threat hunter or a SOC analyst or an incident responder. We enable the autonomous SOC, even for organizations that don't have a full-blown SOC. So making it easier to not only respond to threats, but giving your employees, even junior analysts, the know-how to understand how deep and wide you guys are under attack and why. With Purple AI, we give you summaries of every single incident. We give you this ChatGPT-like functionality for threat hunting and incidents built into the console, so you could just ask it anything. And you could actually ask it to code a Python script or an API or a PowerShell script for you. But more importantly, ask it, where am I impacted? Am I threatened by a certain threat actor like Lockbit or Wizard Spider? Is it occurring? Are any of the tactics, techniques, and procedures anywhere in my environment? Or is there anyone failing logins, logging in from many countries at once, that impossible traveler? So it's going to give you the visibility across all your systems because of that AI capability that we're built on.
Well, thank you for that. And I do want to come back to AI. I want to come back to Purple AI. Sonny, I know you mentioned in some of our discussions that BCIT is looking into how AI impacts what you're doing, and there seems to be a potential roadmap for that. But before we get to that, Sonny, I know another area, and you mentioned it earlier, about bringing your executives along, bringing your board members along. And so I want to ask a quick question about that, because I think that might be very informative for the cybersecurity individuals out here who are really trying to help the organization as a whole move the needle on their cybersecurity strategy. But Sonny, what key metrics do you focus on when discussing cybersecurity with the board, and do you ensure these metrics, and how do you ensure these metrics align with the institution's overall goals?
Yeah, so currently, yes, this is I think the more I think about how to answer this, I think what I'm going to do is back up a little bit and talk a little bit about the importance of not being a cost center. If you're not going to produce metrics from your investments, you will remain a cost center. That's something that's stuck to me from a mentor who's given this advice to me probably more like 12 years ago from today. So anything that you invest in, you need to start thinking about value creation metrics. So how do you really start bringing your metrics to the people that are going to fund you for things like, we brought in SentinelOne, now I need to go ask for more to get managed security, then I need to go back and ask for more because you need digital forensics. So that really needs a conversation at the table where the decisions are being made. So you really need to understand and bring them along. When I say bring them along, it's really your executives and your board. So I've been able to, bring them along in terms of, yes, this is not an IT problem today. This is a business risk problem that we're trying to address, and that's what cybersecurity is today. It is a business risk. You really need to profile it and elevate it to a point where business is really going to be able to understand. Executives really need to understand the continuity of your academic institution is your objective. That is how you enable the business to be able to consider your investments in securing, your infrastructure, your cloud workloads, your endpoints. Your workforce is not sitting behind in an office anymore. They're all over the place. You need to be able to capture metrics in terms of how many individuals are remote, what are the controls in place, what are they accessing, what is your VPN solution, are you really driving VPN traffic back to the office? So all these things, and just to go back to your question, Cornelius, I think metrics to BCIT, we do, I think Elie touched on that, the mean time to detect. The minute you are on SentinelOne platform, you will get, under part of your managed security services agreement, you will get certain metrics that are table stakes. Mean time to detect, mean time to respond. That's what value is to me, right? So when I say within 10 minutes, I do mean it sometimes. Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we have an SLA of under 2 hours remediation and mitigation. So those are the metrics we monitor very close. We're talking about 9,000 endpoints. And when we take this to the board, we really split them into what is it that the board wants to see. Sometimes we have metrics that are, I think it's called metrics overload. Everything is a metric, but I think you need to take metrics that are meaningful to your executive and your board. One of them is the mean time to detect and respond. Then you've got some sort of risk-based metric where we use security scorecard. This is outside of SentinelOne, where we do a baseline benchmarking. How does BCIT look against other peers? It's grading. It's publicly available. Anybody can look at it. So when the board looks at it, oh, that's a report card, A grade, B grade, C grade. It's very meaningful for them. They can actually relate to it. And then you really need to start getting into compliance and framework metrics. Are you measuring yourself against a framework? We use NIST Cybersecurity Framework. For anyone who's here on the BCNET roster should be on the National Cybersecurity Assessment, which is a national assessment. We take part in it. That is a metric because that's your assessment on a NIST 2.0. So those metrics, I think, when you put them in front of your board, alongside with your detect, mitigate, your human metrics like phishing click rate, that's meaningful. You want to maintain your click rate below a certain percentage, and for us, it's under 5%, okay? So we do, every month, there's a click rate. It's been going on for about 2 years. and we can tell a story. We know when people are back from summer break because your click rate likely will go higher. These are emotions that we're also, tracking. So yeah, so those are probably the top 3, 4 type of metrics that go in front of the board. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Sonny. That was absolutely insightful. Before I sort of come to a question that I'd love both of you to kind of weigh in on, I'm going to apologize to Microserve IT for Cornelius increasing the click rate. Because I think I tend to do that from time to time. I do own it. I do apologize for it. But now that you bring up click rate, I understand that metric. So I wanted to go back to AI because I think AI is an important concept on everybody's mind, I believe. And Sonny, I'll start with you. How do you see the role of AI and machine learning evolving in the field of cybersecurity over the next few years?
Yeah, this is a fast-moving train, I call it. There's 3 categories when I think of AI. One is something that we've already lived and it's behind us, and that's called the generative AI. When I say it's behind us, it's done, folks. That's me speaking my personal opinion. We're really entering a phase, what I call agentic AI. This is agent-based AI. Today, SentinelOne allows me to side load, no different than what Copilot is. Side load an agent AI where I can actually interact with that AI in natural language, okay? I don't need to go learn Splunk as a language, or I don't need to learn any QSQL language. So that's what we're navigating today, and that's real, meaning that's agent AI, and that's really solving a lot of problems in terms of filling the gap that I touched on earlier. There is a shortage of cybersecurity professionals, okay? We're dealing with, a diversity issue in cybersecurity, okay? Then we're probably at the cusp of entering what I call human-like AI. That human-like AI is, you can call it super AI, or I don't know, there's most probably a better descriptor out there, but I refer that to as human-like AI. And we're literally entering that. And these AI life cycles are very short, okay? Now, you can only imagine the human-like AI is probably going to do a lot of things that are going to be based on not only behavior intelligence, but it's going to be configuration based on what your needs are. You could give a human-like AI a profile that this is a student, let the student do this. This is a researcher, don't let it do this. And that's kind of what we're entering right now. So to wrap this up, future of AI, I think this is real. Embrace it. Use it to your advantage. Yes, it's a double-edged sword. I do look at the risks on the other side of it, but to be honest to you, I think we need to embrace what actually it's going to allow us to do. When I really talk about the 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs, there is no way other than, embracing technology like AI to be able to fill the void. And Elie touched on the SOC automation. That's real. Like, we are able to respond using behavior intelligence and AI, automated AI playbooks. Like, there's automated AI playbook that if you see this, I want you to disable the account and I want you to report it to me. And that's the end of it. You don't need, I hate to say it, you don't need your human element there, and I would like that human element to be more creative, to do more meaningful work, like build a strategy, talk to people. Like, that's the kind of stuff we need to start getting our humans to do.
Thank you for that, Sonny. Very insightful. Elie.
Yeah, and stemming from what I started with, talking about how SentinelOne was built on AI, we've got several years ahead of a lot of the other vendors in this industry. And the way we're doing it today is leveraging our machine learning, our predictive analysis as well, to catch only all stages of a threat or an attack, but also across the different disparate systems in your environment. And the biggest one that, for those who aren't familiar with it, is identities. Identities are under attack, so we're leveraging our AI and this new layer of defense called identity threat detection response to catch the stealthy threats that are trying to steal credentials or escalate privileges or harvest credentials. That's a big one. And the fact that we have a unified agent that does not only EDR, but also IDR, leveraging the AI that we've built into it, catches it instantly, blocks those threats automatically. So back to my earlier point, automating the entire enterprise, but also giving your junior analysts or the interns or anyone that's trying to get into this field with the know-how to understand everything about security really quick. I did it the hard way many years ago. Had to study hard for the CISSP, and had to have a lot of experience in the many different domains across physical, access control, cryptography, and PKI. You could do it all today by just looking at the SentinelOne console, loading Purple AI, which, by the way, uses natural language to find anything and learn about what's going on inside your network across these different disparate systems, your identity providers, your firewall data, your the cloud environment, giving you visibility, but also helping your teams become knowledgeable not only in your environment and what's going on with the managed and unmanaged devices, because universities and higher ed have complex networks with many different environments, campuses, research labs. So you need that visibility across the entire enterprise. And no better way to do it than with SentinelOne's single cloud native console to give you that visibility and the AI running it.
Well, thank you very much for sort of bringing sort of that AI conversation full circle. And I certainly believe that there was a lot in that conversation for the individuals that are in the audience. We have some time remaining before close to have a few questions coming from the audience. And I believe the process is to have a microphone available because I know there's tons of questions. I can feel it. So please don't be shy. It's an excellent opportunity to engage with both Sunny, who is within your domain and doing the work that you're doing and can share some valuable insights, as well as Elie from a SentinelOne perspective and the work they're doing across the broader public sector and within higher ed. So please, let's have some questions. I think we have one over here.
Yeah, thank you. You're going to get lots of steps today, as always. Last year, if you recall, I figured out on stage I'm losing sight. I need to go see a doctor. That's why we got those. I don't read questions on stage anymore. I bought you some time.
Thank you. So I work at the University of BC, and we have all the legacy of IT. We have like everything that's ever been out there, basically still connected to our networks. How do you guys support legacy IT and get visibility into it?
Yeah, good question. I'll start off that. So there's two answers to that. So first is BCIT is about 90% centralized. And for any of our research that are running legacy systems, we do have some really strong microsegmentation where we divert traffic to be able to contain it in a different area. Yes, we also have SentinelOne running on every single system. There is probably no such thing as you shouldn't run SentinelOne on a legacy system. It is still protected and monitored. We do have lifecycle management that we're trying to address that. So I don't think we have more than a dozen or so outside of research that's like out of the 9,000 endpoints. There's probably only a dozen of like Windows 10 that are running some research utilities, but yeah, so I think microsegmentation with a layered approach. EDR is not only your solution. You really have to start thinking about microsegmentation in different areas. If it's facilities, research, schools, you just have to separate them as much as you can. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and just to add to that, SentinelOne supports legacy systems such as Windows XP and the many different legacy operating systems, even after Microsoft's end of life. And also, built into the agent, these lightweight agents, there's the logic to go out and discover, provide you with full inventory of everything across your network, the IoT devices, storage, servers, printers, give you a full inventory and visibility, but also allowing you to isolate rogue devices. So if one of these legacy systems is some threat actor has thrown a Linux box or some device into your network, instantly isolate it, protecting all your trusted assets from any possible infiltration or lateral movement, but also giving you full management of everything, not only the SentinelOne protected devices, but also these unmanaged devices.
Thank you for that. Did that answer your question? Perfect. Do we have another question? Hands raised, please.
I got one.
Certainly.
What is your biggest takeaway? One advice that you like to share as you go through this journey?
Yeah, I think, biggest takeaway for me is I have a team of about 6 individuals. The biggest takeaway for me is I do know that human scalability is not the answer. You've heard me say this. So embrace the next generation tool sets. Try to do more with less. Consolidate your tool set so that you can actually focus on bringing the best out of those tools, making the most use out of those tools. We all in the sector together are navigating something very interesting, cost pressures, but embrace the tools, produce value to the business, think of everything you do as outcome to the business, produce metrics. That would be my takeaway.
I would agree.
Yeah, Sunny took the words right out of my mouth. But having said that, there's an opportunity for everyone to learn what's out there, learn where this industry is going. It's so fast-paced, but bring in the vendors and put them to the test. List your requirements and success criteria, and make sure they're helping you achieve that and following your roadmap. Maybe the journey to the cloud or different solutions that you want to bring in. Make sure they're aligning with that.
100% agree. I think we have time for one more.
Sure. Is there one more question from the floor?
If there is one.
There has to be.
Maybe that will happen over the reception.
Well, I do have an offer. So in closing, Microserve is a proud platinum sponsor of BCNET Connect. We've worked within the higher ed community for more than 30 years. And through some of the contracts that BCNET has that you have access to, whether it's the cybersecurity products contract where we're partnered with SentinelOne, and I think Elie said it best, we're here to support your journey. We're here to engage, and that contract allows you to reach out to Microserve and our partnership to be able to support those conversations. So we do have a booth on the exhibition floor, and would really encourage you to come by. And if you had questions but you're not comfortable asking them in this format, please come by. We're there with SentinelOne. There's an army of us there ready to engage in this conversation. And then the last thing that was mentioned a few times was capacity. And so in the same light, Microserve has an excellent opportunity to support and work with you in those areas of capacity, as we do have a very strong cybersecurity practice. And again, we're ready to engage and support. So if there are no other questions, please do come up to the booth. I've been told that there's a wonderful raffle, but you have to talk to Cornelius first. And so there's a wonderful raffle. And, the lucky 3 winners will have a dinner with Cornelius and a hockey game. I don't know if that runs you guys away, but that's the offer that's on the table. So thank you, Sandeep, and thank you, BCNET, for this opportunity. And again, look forward to seeing you all upstairs.
Big round of applause.